And now, before we reveal the winners in the best overall category, um, I'd like to call Jurors and Gentle, Michael Richardson and Bob Watson to this virtual stage to share the experiences. I guess you noticed that we turned things around a little bit. Uh, Anne is here. Hi.
Hello.
Let me just stop sharing for a moment. Hi, Bob. Hi, Michael. Good to see you
Good
again. And
afternoon. Yes,
welcome.
nice to see you again.
And thank you for your trusting me to ask you questions that I'm not going to show you here.
Of course, Laura, always.
Michael is first time a juror, Anne and Bob have been embracing the awards for years now. So we have a continuum of experiences here. Um, do you see certain aspects of developer portals? And I'm going to ask the same questions from the three of you as from the previous gala, from the previous jurors, so that if somebody would like to see how different people with different background and different contexts see the same thing, then they get a more richer picture. So do you see certain aspects of developer portals coming more into focus as opposed to a couple of years ago? And if I may, I'm going to ask Anne first.
Alphabetical by first name. Why not? Sure.
That's
Yeah,
because
I
you're a
think
lady, by the way, but
right. I'd say if you look at a couple years, so I'm gonna call a couple years 2 or so years ago. I think there's just better and better infrastructure for trying out APIs and better integrations into like authentication. So like with Spotify, with Miro, you could use your own account to try things out on the developer portal. Well, that's huge. All right. I had a song list in a couple clicks. It was amazing to see. So I think there's just better and better experiences that way because the back ends have caught up and there's many more cloud services you can get access to. And I just think even seeing, I believe was it React that had a way where you didn't even have to log in and you could get things going. So that was really impressive as well. So I think that's the biggest thing in the last couple of years is just more push towards let them try it out, even if it's hard on the back end. Believe me, I know at Cisco, especially with our big portfolio of APIs, it's not easy to set up backend infrastructure, and it's not easy to make sure everything's secure enough and taking into consideration any bad actors, or you have to be very thoughtful and very just plan ahead and then maintain it over time and be ready to do that with the resources.
How do you see this, Bob? So you have been the patron saint of the DevPortal Awards from the very beginning, and this is also very of mine. What would we do without you? What have you seen that is more in focus recently?
So I think the thing that impressed me from the very beginning of the presentation is the incorporation of user experience research and design. That's something near and dear to my heart. But it's getting more and more into the mainstream of developer portals. I mean, it was always something for websites, but by golly, developer portals turn out to be websites too, and they could benefit from all the same um, uh, user experience innovations. And so seeing that be applied to um, the entries into the contests over the competition year after year uh, warms my heart. But it's that it's getting that recognition, and to see that become more and more mainstream as opposed to something they'll get to later or something that doesn't even enter into the conversation is something I've seen and something I hope to continue to see become more mainstream, getting the customer recognized as part of the design process of the developer portals.
Last year, Matt, you said something like this too, like, oh my God, you did not invent people again, that actually there's people using them.
Like I said, that's near and dear to my heart. So the more I see it, just the happier I get.
Thank you. Michael, you're new to the awards as a juror, but not new to developer portals. And you're also part of building the Kruger developer portal. What do you think is more in focus or more raised at the bar than before?
So I think I do defer to some extent to the others in the group who have more experience with this judging process, but I have to agree with both of them, and specifically calling out the sandbox, the ability to interact with an API of any kind directly in the documentation is so valuable and really contributes to that learning experience. So I think there's a lot of value there, and look forward to continuing to see more of that as time goes on.
Mm-hmm. It's becoming more of a sandbox in its original meaning, like you kind of can play there.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
My favorite question, let me turn this around.
Awesome.
What would you like us to forget about? What would you like to not see in portals anymore? And Michael, since you had the mic.
That's I think some companies' confusion about their users, and they may end up with salesy material in a developer-focused portal. And I think that it's really valuable when building these kind of portals to consider your users and the kind of information that they're going to need based on their use case. So yes, there is absolutely a place for selling your product and getting people on board, but developers, and inside the developer portal, you're typically looking to get stuff done and try things out. So keeping a focus on that.
Anne, what do you think?
Yeah, I can go next. You saw me come off mute like, oh, I like this one too. I would love to leave behind this stark difference between the reference information and the how-to and conceptual information, where design-wise, it just looks totally different. Now, the entries this year are amazing and have done, the ones that can do that really well are going to stand out, where they thought about the journey, they thought about user goals. So I think it really ties into what Michael's saying. But at the same time, the thing I don't want to see is, here's Swagger UI, here's everything else, right? And I think, the times of that are over. And I think even vendors are starting, to realize the layouts matter and the journeys and navigations matter. Of course, search matters too, and you might pop in anywhere, but you don't want this, whiplash effect of this is very different, where am I? Yeah.
Bob, what doesn't cause joy to people on portals?
Well, I just to kind of pick up where Michael and Ann left off, the thing that I haven't liked to see in the past is the sort of cargo culting of, oh, they did it and they got a prize, so we'll copy their design. It's like, it's not the design you want to copy, it's the process that they went through to get to the design. And that's like what Michael was saying, in touch with the customers, being able to use it, keeping the design coherent. It's the process of knowing your users to know what they want, because your users are different from whatever company you want to emulate because they got the prize last year. Know the process that they took to understand their users and how they design their site to meet their users' needs, and then design your site to meet your users' needs. That's the sites who did that in this year's competition unfortunately made it hard to judge because they were all really good. That was the problem we had, is like, okay, well, how do we pick from the best and the best when they're like literally neck and neck? So it's great to see more companies, organizations adopting, a good process that gives them good results. So if there's anything to take away, it's that people focus on the process, as the speakers at the very beginning talked about. I mean, I don't know if I think all of us here realize it, but that's literal gold mine of information for the secret to winning next year's competition.
Laura, you're muted. Laura.
Thank you for that. I was so much in the flow with listening to Bob. And so I'm asking you, Bob, first now. Was there like a surprising approach that you really didn't expect in either way? Like, that's new.
I'll put me on the spot. Surprising approach. I think that I'm going to sound like a broken record at this point, but I think the surprising thing was to see the approach to a successful site repeated so frequently, because before it was the exception and it was easy to pick out the winners. It's like, oh, they've got it figured out, everyone else is still catching up, winner without a doubt. Now it's like, ooh, these all have figured it out. Like the Miro site, how their whole onboarding experience, that was one of my favorite ones. Just reflected the company, it made it fun, it drew you in, it showed you its capabilities, and it's like they get it. They know who they're talking to, and they know how to talk to them. And so seeing more of that, and that's becoming the norm now. I think is what surprised me. It's like it's good to see that people are listening and picking up. So these competitions, I think, are starting to pay off. They're literally raising the bar of what's expected. And like I said in your presentation at the beginning, is giving away the secret to do that. And so I'm hoping to have an even harder time next time and picking a winner.
When we started the award, it was actually Christoph's dreams. This is the first award gala where Christoph Wantoma isn't here. He's my co-founder and husband, but that's another story. But it was his big dream that sounded impossible when we started this award. And I remember some frustration from you, Bob, also like, this could be done better. And apparently the promise with which we lured you in as a juror, that we are going to collectively raise the bar on excellence on portals, it's hopefully coming, and I hope that we made some contribution to that. Michael, was there something that you were really surprised by when you saw the nominees?
There was some gamification, which I thought was a nice little addition, which I didn't really expect. I don't think that's been. I think people have tried that over the years, and we're starting to see that come into its own, and I'm excited to see where that leads over time.
And
I remember two sort of, wow, they did that moments. One was Ring Central. We were evaluating them for the community outreach, and they have an award system. So it's in line with that gamification where you could gain points and then pick your own prize. So I loved it for just the playfulness of it. You could win a panda, a plush panda. So it was like Dave and Buster's in the United States where you get tickets and then you go pick out something on the, rewards board, right? So I really liked that. That one was one of those moments where I went, oh, wow, I never would have thought that there's a system that can do that now. So that was really fun. I shouldn't be surprised, but I was a little bit surprised when teams could mention that Oh, and we've run accessibility testing on our site. So what a testament to the more attention we can get on that, not just for risk mitigation, but to actually make a better, more accessible site for all. Accessibility is near and dear to me for a couple of reasons. One is I was accidentally blinded in one eye for many months through just a random thing that happened. So not that I ever got good with screen readers, that was really difficult, but it could happen to anybody. So I think that by making it better for a part of the population, we're making it better for all of us, right? So that was a delight. That was great to see people just noting, oh, we've run accessibility tests. You're on mute again.
Again, if you would take out your crystal ball, and I know I really shocked you with this question last year, but I love the answer, so let me ask this again. If you took out the crystal ball and try not to look only at AI, what would you think seeing in the future of DevPortals?
Well, mine's AI, so no.
Yeah, no.
I do have one that's related, but it's more about, and I don't think it's science fiction. I think it's science reality. If you're going to make a large language model and use it in your, make your documentation your model, wouldn't it be great if you had already run all of that content through a linter or an Acrolinx, content governance system, or even just Grammarly, and I think that the key why this won't be science fiction any longer is, well, first of all, generative AI is amazing. But second of all, using your own LLM and then having confidence that the data is good, that you're not putting garbage in, that's where we know these things by heart. It's like ingrained in us that if it's not any good to start with, you need to get it to a good place, right? So I think Acrolinx has an API, Grammarly has an API. So it's on developers to make sure those integrations can be smooth and high quality. So that's what I would love to see. That's the kind of thing it is just around the corner, folks. We can do this.
Thank you. And Michael, what do you see in your crystal ball?
I think that developer portals are becoming more varied and trying new things. So I see a lot of experimentation and creativity coming in the future, with various companies trying to create differentiation and using those user experiences to say, well, what if it doesn't have to look the way it's always looked? How can we completely reimagine the way that we are creating developer experience? So, in truth, that means I don't know, but I'm excited to see stuff that looks very original.
If I can, I think one that I remember seeing that was very original to me was, instead of using git put post delete, just using the first two letters in the table of contents. So it was DEPUPO. Blew my mind. I had never even thought to do that. And it looked like I love chemistry, and I think the table of contents is really, or the periodic table is really interesting. So it looked like periodic table style, very science driven. That was interesting. Like, who thought of that? I want to know you. Yeah. Yeah.
So, Michael, if you're going to be a returning juror, be careful what you wish for, because you might have to compare some very original sites next year.
Excellent.
This is going to be interesting to see new things. Bob, let me ask you to round up our interview. What do you think may happen to DevPortals in the future, and what do you wish would happen to DevPortals in the future?
I hope we see more of them. I think that's exposing that's acknowledging API as a product and treating it as such, and I think everyone benefits from that. The one thing that I'd like to see them incorporate, and this kind of speaks to what Anne and Richard were talking, or Michael was talking about, was the getting feedback back to the writers and developers. Right now, it's the getting data back from how people are using it and how what they're looking for and what helps them. The level of data that you can collect from a developer portal is still, I'd say, an untapped gold mine of information. And being able to collect that information and present that in usable formats is an opportunity that'll help, support the ideas of, getting the AI to do the right thing. You need feedback for that, and getting the design. If you're going to try out a design idea, you need feedback from that. The better feedback, the sooner, the more you can iterate on your design, the more you can improve it. And so I think we still haven't crossed that last bridge to tie this all together and taking them to the next level. But it's going to be exciting to see where that next level is. Like Michael was saying, I don't know what that looks like either, and I've been studying this for 20 years. But I know that once we get all the right pieces in place, amazing things are going to happen. So I'm still literally on the edge of my seat, watching how that's going to turn out.
Thank you very, very much for this interview and for sharing your opinions. I recently had the experience to be on the other side of the microphone, and now I know, not just know, but I felt it. What a vulnerable position this is to be in, and how brave you gotta be to actually share the more extreme ideas and crystal balling into the future. So I very, very much thank you for bringing all your experience, knowledge, and energy into this program.
Thank you, Laura. It's been an honor, and you've been a great host and leader the whole time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks so much.